What's up, everybody? Your party is ready. What's up, you guys? I'm Indy, and that's Jay, and this is the Indie Game Business. And today we are going to talk about just some industry news, maybe some crunch time stuff, and what's up with Epic?
What's not up with Epic?
They bought Psyonix.
Yes, which was smart of them.
Rocket League.
They've got, it's one, they have shit tons of money. And I'm using that as an actual number. I don't know where it falls on the scale, but I'm sure somewhere there has to be a numerical value on shit tons of money. They've already got a great esports thing going on with Fortnite. Now they have picked up Rocket League, and a lot of people are going to go, oh, nobody plays Rocket League anymore. Yes, people do play Rocket League.
A bunch of people play Rocket League.
There are college programs that will give you a scholarship to come to their university if you play Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, and I'm moving around here and still getting situated because my morning has been absolutely nuts. But and we were talking about this on the Discord server yesterday. It's not always about, oh, we have Rocket League now. Psyonix hasn't been sitting on their hands for the last 3 years going, oh, we're just going to make Rocket League forever. There's something new in the pipe. And that is what I think this part of this Epic acquisition was. Plus, they've been working together for 12 years. They've been working together for a very, very long time. Psyonix actually used to be based literally right down the road from Epic until they moved out to California. Which I don't understand why they moved from where it was cheap to run a studio to California, where it's
expensive.
Not cheap to run a studio. And yes, it's Friday, and I'm not in charge of picking up the boy from school today, so we don't have water and coffee. We have a pint. Now you watch, in the middle of this, my wife's going to call and go, hey, my doctor's appointment's running late. Can you go pick him up at school? And I'll be like, damn. Yeah. But it's a smart move from them. They're getting a good studio that has a big following that they've worked with for years. But, it being Epic, of course, it causes all sorts of shitstorms on the internet the minute they, announced it. And,
oh my God, we have to download another launcher for a game. I
don't get it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm old, but, this is a good thing, and I can prove it to you because I saw this article and I, wanted to share it earlier.
Uh-huh.
So the other week, Epic announced some of their stats. Basically, World War Z sold over 320,000 copies in the last 3 weeks.
People have been so into that game.
I've got it. I played it a little bit. I can't do I'm not a fan of the third-person, first-person shooter. It's I want to see. I don't want to look over my shoulders and see. They sold, World War Z sold over 1 million copies, which, and I've got friends at Paramount, so, Josh, if you are watching, dude, congratulations. This is a movie that came out years ago, and, it did well, but it's not like it, destroyed the world, and I think they're doing a second one, but this is not like a recent movie that came out, and they put together a really good game, and they sold 250,000 copies in 1 week, so, and then along that same line, they had an announcement shortly thereafter about how Metro, or what was one of the other, maybe it wasn't Metro, one of the games that has launched that went over to be an Epic exclusive had the biggest launch of its in the series. I know Anno 1800.
That had to have been Metro then, wouldn't it?
Well, Anno 18, there were two of them. So is Metro out?
Everyone was streaming Anno. That was crazy.
Okay, all right. So that was one of them then. And the other one was Anno 1800, which had the biggest, release of its, all career, life. And that series goes back 15, 20 years.
Yeah. You still have not found a compelling reason to download the Epic Store Launcher? I've got Epic, I think I have GOG, I had the Atomic Launcher, I had Origin. Of course, Steam I've got more games on Steam than anywhere else, but honestly, we have so much storage now. It's like, who cares? You know, I mean,
But I mean, realistically, you're not going to go download the Epic launcher just to download the Epic launcher. And this is why they do exclusives. You're going to go download the Epic launcher when a game comes along that you want badly enough to go download it. And that's exactly why they go do all of these exclusives.
Bethesda, yeah. Bethesda.
They want you to download the store so they can then sell you more stuff. Just like Steam. Steam prepackaged Half-Life 2 or Half-Life in it, so you would download Steam.
Right.
And everybody raised hell when that happened too. But you know what? We got over it. And now everybody's raising hell because, you know, somebody's
Epic's
trying to
doing
compete with Steam.
exclusives. But it's not like other places have non-exclusives, like Origin. You know what I mean? A lot of other launches have exclusives.
That gets removed from the conversation because nobody wants to admit they're using Origin for anything. But that's the reality, you know? The gamers that, you know, are up in arms and complain about Epic going and doing exclusives, I'm willing to bet you the majority of them are not people that went and bought, you know, and downloaded Origin so they could play Battlefield Frontline 2. You know, it's just, I don't see there's a lot of symmetry there. You know,
I just think it's cool that they're offering free games with it. So, you know, oh, this month this game is free. This one's free. You know, I mean, what about Discord? Discord is doing stuff. They're not. Well, do they have exclusives?
Well, but Discord. All right, so Discord actually, I'm not going to say abandoned their store because they didn't abandon it.
No,
but they dispersed it basically. So there's not a central store for Discord now. But you know, if you're a developer, you can sell your game through your Discord channel.
Well, there is a store. I mean, I have Nitro, so.
But Nitro's not a store, though. You can't buy anything through Nitro.
I know. I just get free stuff.
Nitro's all the free games that you get.
I just get
you
free
know,
shit.
from paying for Nitro. But
I don't have to pay for it. I'm a Discord partner, so I get all that stuff free. And honestly, I've only downloaded like 3 games.
I'm gonna shamefully admit I never played KOTOR or the second one, and so I'm excited because those are now free.
Oh, all of the free Star Wars games! Holy shit! That
they have. Commando. What else was it? Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Oh, there was a big list of like 10. Oh, here we go. Knights of the Old Republic 2, Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, Jedi Knight Academy. And then there's more. But those are the ones that are there right now.
Yeah. And so, you know, that to me is very cool.
Kingdom Newlands, that one's free? Oh, that's in my... Oh. Kingdom nothing. Oh, that's Kingdom Classic. Okay. Now I'm like, geez, look at all these games that I could download. The Metros.
Yeah. But see, so here's my question on the Discord side.
Hey,
I want to know if there's somebody out there who is seeing significant sales through their Discord channel. Because my assumption when it comes to Discord is you don't go and seek out a developer's Discord channel until you already have the game.
Oh, I don't think that. I think a lot of people go into Discord channels too.
Why would you go to a developer's Discord channel if you don't play the game that developer, you know, created?
Because that's a lot of studios and developers. That is like the centralized hub. All of the social media traffic all points back to Discord. That way, there's the interaction. They can promote stuff. They can. You know, talk about even games that are not released. Well, yeah. That's like the number one place to send people.
And that's where we were talking about, you know, last week. But it seems odd to me that you as a fan would be participating in a Discord server for a developer if you haven't played their games.
Maybe it's a game that you want or the game that it looks awesome. Yeah, if it's a multiplayer indie game, you want to see if there's actually going to be anyone to play with. Super important. I want to do a shout out to Michael from If Then Software. They just got their first game on Steam.
Congrats.
Yeah, it is. And I got a key for it. It is. Oh, Michael, I forgot the name. I'll post the link here. It is.
Worst promo ever.
I know, dude. Oh, I gotta look at my list. I'm like, Fruit Crawler, that's it. Fruit Crawler. Here, I will post the link on the Steam page. So Michael, If Then Software is like one of the local devs near where I live. So I got to meet Michael from the Southern Oregon Game Dev Meetup, which now they're going to do one in Medford. I've been watching all the stuff, but that's cool. So Fruit Crawler, it's Michael and his dad. Is it just you guys? A lot of the big Discord servers are from publishers rather than devs and often drive a certain crowd and demographic. Chucklefish, Coffee Stain. Oh, totally. For sure.
Yeah. All right. So that's a good point. And for publishers, I definitely see it because you have more content to sell. You know, you can bring someone who's a fan of Goat Simulator into Coffee Stain and then sell them Satisfactory. That makes perfect sense. I'm just looking at like developers on their own.
Right. Yeah, because people are fans of publishers big time as well. I think that a lot of developers, they have their Discord going way before the game's even released. So it's people that want to get the game, but are you talking specifically about like after the game's released?
I mean, yes. So to an extent before the game's released, but still, I wonder. You know, I don't know. This is why I'm asking. I'm hoping somebody can, toss something out there that explains this to me. But I mean, I know, I'm a member on several publisher and developer Discords, but it's because I found the game or I've been playing the game, and then I'm like, oh, I should check out, what's going on with the community. I don't know of any developer or publisher Discords that I'm a member of that I haven't played the game or at least showed some interest in. And so that's why I'm like, how much of a benefit is it to the indie developer who only has maybe one or two titles to be able to sell their product through the Discord store? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking. That's what I want to find out.
To sell, like to have a Discord and to sell their product right through their Discord channel, because that's what you do now.
The hypothesis that I'm going with is
a hypothesis.
I'm from the South. We'll call it.
No. I was just being funny.
It is. You're not going to find. Those gamers aren't going to come to your Discord server until they played your game. And so that's what I want to see. That's what I want somebody to prove me wrong on.
Indie devs need it more than large teams due to the growth of their community. Community loyalty helps sell the game. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
It's all community.
And Lord of Sin is one to talk because he is very prominent over on the Tricet Brothers.
Tricet Bros. We have a question way up at the top.
If you scroll, we don't have to answer it, right?
Yeah, if it's not in the fucking thing.
It's not on the screen anymore.
If there's time, I would like your opinion on the new VR stuff announced too. You mean like the new Valve VR? Did you see that on front page of Steam? There's like the Valve VR. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Do you need a computer? Nothing to. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, this is like Google Stadia. It's like, what do you think about Stadia and how it's going to affect everything? Well, I have no clue because they didn't actually announce anything. Steam has a new VR headset coming out, and it's got new cool little controllers. But I don't know what. There's nothing yet on. Have the games been announced? What? I think it's great that there's new headsets coming out.
Yeah,
despite all
we
the
want them to
money
be
I
a
sunk
fucking
in mine.
$100.
See, and that's fantastic.
It's a fucking $1,000.
It's $1,000.
Yeah, I want a headset to be.
I'll take that back.
$150. That's what I want. $150.
So Oculus is doing things cheaper and cheaper. Valve is apparently going in the other direction. Well, it says coming soon. Oh wait, that's just the controllers.
Well, maybe it's all like
there's something here for $500.
Maybe it's self-contained. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like wirelessly.
Oh no, it's $1,000.
Is it wireless?
My God.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere about some headset that was completely wireless, which is would be amazing.
So if you already have base stations, which I do from my Vive, it's still $750
Yeah.
to get the headset and controllers.
Well, when 5G comes out everywhere, maybe they'll just have fucking 5G headsets and then everyone can fry their brain.
Yeah, I've been hearing all this stuff about people excited about 5G coming out. Do you not realize we live in the U.S. and there are places that don't even have 4G yet? And it's like, I will hold my breath waiting on that to come out. Yeah, I mean, if Valve wants to continue doing these $1,000 headsets, they're going to have to show me a really, really, really damn good reason to
I better
use
get
it.
it.
And it looks
back
like
at the
there's a
same
cord
time.
coming out of the back of the thing. So it's not even...
See,
It's
that's
not
what
even
we just
wireless.
need. Freaking cordless headsets that are all self-contained. That is not a phone. Pay $1,000 to play 2 games.
I've
People
done it
have
before,
done
Div.
People have
Yeah,
done
I
it.
mean, I can't really trash that a lot because, yes, I've actually done that before. Like, I got a text from my brother a couple of months ago. He's like, I just paid $500 to play Mario Kart. What should I be getting with this Switch as well? And I'm like, yeah, I did the same thing.
Oh shit! That was us when we got the Wii. We got the original Wii, yeah, and then I got that, and of course there's a bunch of people in the family, so I got 4 controllers, and then we got a couple games, and then we played it for like 2 weeks, and then it fucking sat for 6 months. I sold it on Craigslist.
I was at a local tech meetup, and I was talking about somebody said something about VR, and I was like, yeah, I got a Vive, and one of the other he owns a PC store around here where it's like the only place to go if you need new RAM and you want to get it locally and you don't want to order it from somewhere. And he just looked at me and he goes, and where is that Vive right now? And I was like, it's in a box in the corner. It's we played it, a lot for about a month and a half, and it gets brought out like every 2 months. But it's like a pain in the ass now because my son will be like, hey, Dad, let's play VR. And I'm like, God, I'm going to have to get it out, hook it up. And it's probably going to be a good half hour of...
You got to get everything positioned and then fucking, yeah.
Steam's not going to recognize the base station.
The laptop that I got for TwitchCon last year, to take to TwitchCon, and I'm like, I'm going to get me a VR compatible one. So I got me a decent laptop, and it runs VR like a freaking champ. It plays every game on Epic, you know what I mean? But and it's like... Then it's like, oh, well, I need to take my laptop somewhere, so I have to unhook everything and then drag it. And then I'm like, do I want to hook that shit back up? Like, babe, can we have a spare room now that my wife's dad moved out? Like, can't we just make that the VR room? He's all sure. And have I done it? No.
No.
But when
because
I get
it's not a compelling reason.
When I get it set up, you have a friend that got a VR, played a lot of Beat Saber, and now it's a VR chat console. Oh, I know. Every time I get it hooked up, I play it every day. I will get up and play for like 10 minutes of Beat Saber. I bought another game that's like Beat Saber, but they're the spheres that come at you and you punch them. And that thing's a freaking workout. And I love the hell out of it.
That's like audio boxing or something like that.
I don't know what it is. It's an awesome game though. And you don't have to punch. You can just hold your fist out. But I punch because it's a good workout.
Well, you should do the boxing game.
Oh, I got the boxing game too. I got the Creed. Oh, you got
I don't know.
Sylvester Stallone is your coach.
Hold on, what's the one I have?
Creed is good. You do like the workout in the gym, and then you fight the dude. And some of the guys are like really fucking big, man.
I can't find anything.
I just wish I could get some haptic feedback when I punch somebody in the jaw. Just wish Eve Valkyrie was better or longer. Yeah, so I got some space game. I got the Star
Knockout League.
The Star Trek, freaking helm, whatever is it called? Where you're like the captain or you're bridge crew. Yeah, that game is fun, except for every time you play, there's people on there saying like the N-word and all kinds of stuff.
Well, that's because people on the internet are assholes. That's just
right. But I mean, it would be fun to play with other people that I know. You know what I mean? But
and how many other people can you put together a bridge crew of other people that you know that have that kind of VR headset set up?
Yeah, and it's it launches through Origin, I believe, also. So I bought it through the Oculus Store, but like Origin or whatever. Yeah, and it's cross-platform for sure. That would, you know what? It would be a good game to
Why
play.
does it launch through Origin?
Or not? Or it launches through some other launcher, which is weird. But you know what? You would think that game would be one that you could do on your mobile. You know what I mean? I think a lot of those games could be ones that you could do on your mobile. Now you want a VR game like No Heroes here? You know what? I haven't looked at the latest VR games. I love it though. I think it's freaking awesome. But what happens when I hook it up is that I end up not doing any work all day because I just like get stuck playing Rick and Morty, which is a really good game, by the way.
I had not even seen a Rick and Morty episode until a few weeks ago, and then I realized how good it was.
Yeah. A Firefly simulator, interesting. Yeah, the Rick and Morty game is so fun. You got to try to play the Rick and Morty. It's just basically puzzles, but you get teleported to different places, and it's so cool. But you got to have a lot of room because you have to turn around completely sometimes. And you know, like when
I've got plenty of room.
I know, but you know when you turn
that whole
around,
side of my office.
If you don't have sensors behind you, also when you turn around, sometimes your arm will go and just be all like jacked up. And
all right? So wait, Jeff, where is From Other Suns? Because I just looked for it on Steam and it's not there.
It's probably on the Oculus store.
I don't have an Oculus. I have a Vive.
Oh well,
Vive.
Vive. Oh, it's Oculus only. And you know what? I think what I think is like having the PlayStation. What is it called? The PlayStation VR would be awesome because you got your PlayStation already hooked up and you just pick up the stuff and it works. You know what I mean? Because it's set up all the time. So their controllers are a little weird, but I think that would be awesome because your PlayStation stuff is set up all the time. You know, you don't take it down, you don't tear it down like your Oculus. Whatever.
Well, we got the Labo for the Nintendo VR, and it's not bad, but you know, it's not
good,
groundbreaking either. I mean, it's one of those things that they need some content to actually really support it, not just. You know, the fact that you can play Zelda in it is super cool, but the resolution gets knocked down, and you know, it's more of like you go to some place in Zelda that you want to go to, and then you can stand there and look around, more than I'm going to run around and play Zelda in VR, which would be ridiculously, cool.
Well, I know they can play Ark in VR on Steam. You know, Ark the dinosaur game. I haven't done it, but it's like Skyrim VR. Yeah.
See, I would totally get Fallout VR, but I mean, I'm sorry, I already paid $60 for that game, plus all the expansion packs. I'm not going to spend another $60 on Fallout just so I can play it in my Vive. Because I'm not. That's just.
I bought all of this other stuff, but no, I'm not going to spend the money. I bought everything, bought all the DLCs.
Yes, and because I did that, I shouldn't have to do it again.
Yeah. So you have to buy a completely separate game?
Yes.
See, they should make it like where you spend another $20. You got Skyrim for your fridge? Oh, because you have one of the fridges with a tablet on it. That's awesome. Oh my God. I got Skyrim on my Alexa. Alexa, stop. That's funny.
So, all right. So, yeah, that's VR in a nutshell.
What are we talking about? Crunch. We were going to talk about Crunch, right?
Yeah, we were. And the funny thing is, I reached out to a friend of mine who's actually a producer on the live ops side of Fortnite, he has a blog that he talks about, how to properly do production planning and all of, that kind of good stuff. And I'm like, hey, dude, you want to come on the show and talk about, from a producer standpoint, what you can do to reduce crunch? It's like, yeah, absolutely. As soon as you can disguise my voice and put a backlight behind me so nobody knows who I actually am. And I'm like, we're working on that technology. We don't quite have it yet, but it's there. it's all over the news, but it's not news. This has been going on for at least 20 years. That's how long I've been in the industry, and crunch is a reality of, the industry, and it gets blamed on management, and a lot of it, truthfully, does come from management. But, the blame on crunch goes all the way down the pipe. I mean, we were discussing after the whole Epic news came out, and, that shouldn't have been a shock to anyone. We were having this conversation on Twitter, and some, I'm going to say kid, younger person trying to get into the industry made the comment that, he wished he had the opportunity to work 12 hours a day on art for one of these projects so that, he could get better or whatever. And I'm like, don't take this the wrong way, but you're part of the problem. As long as the core team members are okay guilting their, companions into doing this, and there's going to be somebody else who's willing to do that 12-hour day, 7 days a week, because you won't, we're going to have this. It's not going to change. We see a lot of this crunch, and it does come from big publishing houses more than indie teams. But, as long as there's a deadline to hit, be it an earnings report, the end of a quarter, Christmas, whatever it is, this is going to happen. And you read so many of these stories, and part of the problem with crunch is that we're our own worst enemies when it comes to, the industry, and wanting the projects that we work on to do well, and, all of that sort of stuff. But until we collectively stop, criticizing and shaming the people who actually want to go home to their families and, stand up to this sort of stuff and say, look, I'm not doing this. My life, my time, my family, my outside of work life is more important than this. It's going to continue happening.
Yeah, big time.
And I'm not just speaking. I left a company because of that. I was with the company for nearly 10 years, my first job. And it got to the point when I was getting up at 2, 3 in the morning and throwing up blood from an ulcer. And I was like, you know what? Not worth it anymore.
This just doesn't sound like it's worth it at all. At all.
But it's not something, it's something that we all collectively have to look at. And, it's the producers that, even one of the articles, probably the initial article is, makes the comment that at Fortnite, the producers were the ones that got it the worst. And, I know producers who left Fortnite, and you see people turn around and they're like, oh my God, you had to be making so much money. Why did you leave? It's like, well, this is why you leave.
Because you're freaking unhappy.
It's not worth it anymore. And, these companies put the golden handcuffs on you. And that's just the reality of it. They'll say, if you leave, your payment is probably structured to a bonus plan. I think I don't even want to know what the bonuses that got paid out last Christmas at Epic were, because they had to be huge. But people look at it and they're like, well, I can't leave right now because, I have this coming in. And if you don't draw that line somewhere, you're going to be absolutely, utterly miserable. Yeah. And it's going to affect your relationships, your family, your own personal health. But it's not, just management's problem that this happens. The blame for why this continues to be an issue 30 years into the industry, there's plenty of that blame to go around.
Well, the blame is that people, they go into it because people become game developers. Hey, what's up? People become game developers because they love making games. They want it. They have this massive passion for making games. And so when you just jump in balls deep, yeah, let's fucking make a game and crunch. And then pretty soon you just burn out and you don't realize it. And then you're kind of locked into this whole mindset. And it has to start with, you can be more productive if you work 4 days a week instead of working 7 days a week, 14 hours a day or hours a day or whatever.
Hey Bjorn, welcome back from your hiatus. But that is part. That's why I say, we're victims of our own, of ourselves, because it's. You look at every single one of these stories, and whether it is Riot or Anthem or Fortnite or whoever, eventually somebody's going to say, we sat there and we worked those hours because we wanted to be proud of what we released. You can still be proud of what you release if you make that stand and say, I'm going home. I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat dinner with my family. I'm going to have a good night's sleep. And then I will come back in the morning and I will keep doing this shit. But I'm not going to stay here for 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, for 2 months on end to get out there. That's the part that's not going to happen.
Talking to producer Direwolf, and he said they haven't crunched in years. They planned catch-up weeks where everyone comes in for 2 extra hours Tuesday through Thursday, but it's planned. I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with overtime. People work overtime all the time, but when you are just like forced into this continual overtime for months at a time. I mean, I was a commercial fisherman, right? And that's some hard work.
That's some 12-hour days right there.
No, 12, dude. When we're getting our gear ready for crab season, a 12-hour day seemed like a half a day because we were working like 16-hour days. No
so
problem.
You actually worked on one of like the deadliest catch type boats?
No, it was a smaller boat, and it was in Oregon. So it wasn't. We didn't go out in freaking 80-mile-an-hour winds. We would come in if it was blowing 30 miles an hour, and the boat was 60 foot. It was just a 3-man crew. But I almost died multiple times. I knew people that died, or people that just disappeared. Their boats flipped over or something.
Can we do a show one day on all the random awesome jobs you've had over the years?
Yeah, we can talk about all the weird shit that I've done, because I've done all kinds of weird stuff. I was a groomer. I actually lived in a tack room on a horse racing track for a while. Do you know the cat clock where the eyes go back, the black cat, and the eyes go back and forth in the tail wax?
Yeah.
And I worked for a company called Spray Mask where we would get these new products or toys from Tyco and trains and stuff like that. So we would cast them, and then we would cut out the things, because when they produce those, they have to paint them, right? So they paint them. They have a thing where they just hold it up against it and go an airbrush, right? So we made those molds for the airbrush, which was a kind of my boss smoked a lot of weed. It smelled like pot in there all the time. But yeah, deadliest catch the game. There we go. But yeah, we could talk about all the weird shit that I've done.
But I mean, it's just sitting here watching this feed, and this is a microcosm of the industry in some way, shape, or form. But I mean, you see, pseudo shadows. Like, I did exactly the same thing at a previous startup, and looking back, I can tell you it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Sage GG, at one of my previous studios, we had several teammates check into hospitals and forced to take leave for mental health. But
it's not worth it.
We still let this happen. And you don't need a union. Everybody's like, oh, we're going to get unionized. It's like, you don't need a union to stand up and go, this is bullshit. I am not going to put up with it. And that's part of the reason, we do this show.
You just got to get people to stand with you.
Well, I know, but at some point,
there's like 100 people working, and you're like, I'm not going to do this overtime, and you're the only one standing up. They'll be like, bye.
Yeah, they will. Right now, they will, because there's some, 18, 20-year-old that is clawing at the door to get in and have that opportunity. And that's why I said,
he's ready to work them 16-hour days.
Exactly.
7 days a week.
And they will love doing it for a year or two. But this is part of the reason when, why it's like, so our last event that we did, I said publicly, Twitter, wherever, I was like, if you got laid off from, EA or Ubi or whoever was doing layoffs that particular week, and you have an indie game to pitch, I'll give you a free pass to our show, so you can pitch that game. Because the reason that we do this show and the reason that we do that event is to give developers another option. I'm not going to lie, it is hard to stand up and walk out of your job. I've done it. But I can tell you, once you do it once, it gets really, really easy after that. Because then you know,
I'm done. Throw papers up in the air. You're like, fuck it.
I came home and I looked at my wife, and it was a Friday, and she's like, "So, what's up?" I said, "I quit my job," and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I quit. I quit my job, and it is hard, and it's not something that you can, that anyone can do." Because I've got very successful friends of mine. Oh, wait, hold on a second. This is going to get interesting. Elsa is sleeping outside my window, and there's a chipmunk that wants to get from one side of the driveway to the other, and it just realized that it has to get past her. But she hasn't even realized that it's there yet. There you go. She got all the way across the other side before Elsa actually picked her head up.
That's your entertainment.
Anyway, yeah, I know.
Here we have shootings and stuff, but, No,
here we watch the chipmunks trying to get past the sleeping dog. It's once you do it and you take that step one time, it gets easier. But what we want to do here, and if there's any way that we can improve what we do here or at our events, just let me know. But we want people to feel empowered to be able to say, if I do stand up and walk out, I have an option.
Yep.
And so we want to, by teaching the business side of this whole world, give you a little more insight into that option. All right, so what ought to be missed while I was ranting and then, watching the chipmunk try to sneak past the dog?
Knight says, are indie devs the worst when it comes to crunch, or teams under publishers with deadline?
It's publishers. Indie teams really aren't that. Indie teams aren't nearly as bad. I'm not going to say there aren't indie teams that, don't have crunch, but by and large, it's not as big, because one, a lot of indie teams, realize that families exist and they care. It's a much bigger deal for a 12-person studio to lose a person than it is for a 120-person studio to lose a person. And so indie devs, in my experience, are much better about doing it. The push and the incentives behind shipping the game tomorrow come more from the publishing side than I've seen come from the indie side. Did that answer the question?
That answered questions.
Indie's playing with my background.
Yeah.
So Sage says the worst crunch I did was 112 hours a week.
That's
Jesus,
a lot.
Dude. For a month. No compensation ever happened. Abuse was pretty rampant at the studio. I was pretty naive since I was new to the industry. But it was a fantastic wake-up call. I did manage to tell them to f off and walk out. But I know not everyone is in the position to do that.
Yeah, a lot of people most people work from like paycheck to paycheck. So
I think more people are in the position, they just don't realize it.
I mean if you like ramen, and
I've got friends of mine that are very successful in this industry and in other industries, and they looked at me when, I did this and I started the company, and they're like, yeah, I could never do that. But it's like, once you do it once, you kind of know what to expect and you can do it again. I mean, you definitely, if you're working paycheck to paycheck, you definitely need to secure you another job before you toss up the middle finger and, walk out of your existing job. But then, it's one of those that you learn to have a little bit left in the bank just in case things go sideways. Because the reality is, your job is no less stable at a big, especially publicly, IPO'd company than it is if you just walk out. I mean, we see it, all the time, where there'll be mass layoffs, and sometimes those people get compensated. And sometimes they don't.
Sometimes it's just like, bam, you're done. You come into work that day, and you're
look
fucking
at Telltale.
done. You're done.
Telltale was like, everybody comes into work on Friday, and they're like, okay, yeah, we're letting everybody go, and you're not getting any severance or anything else because we're out of money. And
ouch.
that's the reality of this industry. So, putting yourself in that situation of saying, okay, I don't know if I can do this because I need that security of, a job. You need to realize that you probably have very little security as a job anyway if you're working, for one of these bigger companies, because come an earnings deadline or a quarterly report or whatever they need to make their numbers look better, they have no problems laying you off. None.
It just feels like it's a feeling of job security.
Yeah, it's an illusion. That was the thing. So indies are more humane and more community people oriented than strictly get the game done quickly. Yeah, Night Wolf. I mean that's been my experience. But at the same time, you need to be, the indie studio needs to have people at the top that know how to run a studio, that know. At some point you have to ship every game, and it may not be the point that you want, but you can't stay in development forever. So you've got to have somebody in that mix that understands, okay, this is what we need to do to get the game out, and this is when we're going to get it out. But it's less of a situation than what you see with a lot of publishers, when it's like Madness coming out on August 1st, come hell or high water, whether or not we have art for everybody in or stats are right or whatever else. It's a bit different. And so, yeah, you can deal with a little bit of slippage in an indie game. And quite frankly, early access has been a big benefit of this too. Because, when you've got your title in early access, yeah, there's some studios that are like, we're going to launch this by December, but you don't have to. And you've got revenue coming in at the same time, in the meantime. And so you see games stay in early access for a year or two. And that gives a little more cushion to the team. It's when you get stuck in these situations where the game has to launch XYZ day. And then you've got, on top of that, all of the changes and all the chaos that can be in a development, pipeline anyway. Because you don't know when somebody's going to turn around and go, oh yeah, by the way, we need multiplayer in this, and it still needs to ship that same day that we were going to ship it. Because that happens a lot, What? I'm sorry, I got distracted again. I'm having a day.
Successful indies. It's the bit. You've only. Oh, I was gonna say you've only had a couple sips of that, but apparently not. You need another one.
I do, but it's like way over there. So yeah, that's my rant on crunch. I mean, it's not gonna. I cannot see in the foreseeable future how it's gonna change. With the studio, with places like Epic or EA or any of these big companies, because it's just simply not. As long as there are people who are willing to sit down in that chair and work those hours for next to little pay, and
there's probably people that request that shit too.
Well, there are.
Yes, they're like they go into it saying, "Okay, I'll work overtime. I want to work overtime." Because of course, I like money, so I don't mind a little bit of overtime.
But see, all right, so here's the catch though. If you are here's the loopholes that a lot of these companies use. If you are a salaried position,
yeah,
I'm sure there's some labor law against it, but it gets broken constantly. They can ask you to work however much they want to ask you to work. You're getting a salary. They're paying you, $50,000 a year, whether you work 40 hours a week or you work 100 hours a week. And the other one is a lot of these, because our industry has shifted to so much of a contractor position, contractors have no rights. I mean, but it's a double-edged sword for you contractors out there. You don't necessarily owe that company any more than they owe you. So, you can walk, but they don't, if they come through like a temp agency or another, outside company, like, you're not obligated to pay time and a half, unless it was something in that agreement to get it done. That's what they do. That's what they, that's the little loopholes that they exploit. And so Nightwolf, to answer your question, early access is a saving grace, and if you approach it right. This is always, everything's got an asterisk on it, but you can't just put something out there in early access and then think you're going to have money coming in whether it's done or not. You need to look at titles that did early access well, like RimWorld is one of them.
Subnautica. You need to hit that PR and marketing hardcore.
Yeah, you've got to
Otherwise,
constantly.
It's just something that is sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, you got to have constant updates to the community. All of this other stuff to go along with it. But yeah, it can absolutely. And this is don't get wrapped around what you promised your community in terms of the day you're going to ship, because if you stay, true to that, then you're going to end up in the same boat that, a lot of these big companies are in. And you as an indie dev, you don't have to put yourself in that boat. You can say, I know that we told you we were going to launch on May 3rd, but we're not. And here's why.
And it's okay.
And explain it. And yeah, I'm not going to say you're not going to have somebody that only raises hell, but at the same time, this is game development. This is how this happens. There are folks who have seen, mobile games that they do, simple little mobile games, not big mobile games, simple ones, where they take, 2 years to do because somebody kept having a different idea, or the business model evolved, or, any of the other things that happened in a fast-paced industry like ours. All of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, I have to do this to keep up. That's part of Epic's problem. That's part of Fortnite's problem. They jumped into a genre. They were ungodly wildly successful at it, and kudos to them on that part. But quite frankly, they didn't even expect it. They're still having huge hiring sprees, to bring people in both on the development side and the live ops side. But to stay current, they had to keep doing new content. And then Apex comes out and they're like, hey, look, now you can resurrect people and you can, ping. And in order to stay competitive, they felt they needed to implement that in like the next 2 weeks, which I don't necessarily agree with, but whatever, that's what they did. And so, the industry moves very quickly. To be successful, you have to be able to iterate with it. And so if you explain that to your, users and to your purchasers, it's like, look, this is the reality of the world. We have to move it because XYZ, because otherwise I'm going to ship you a game that sucks. And then you're going to bitch even more.
Then you're going to bitch. That's fun. So, Sage, I agree. I don't see it changing at the big studios. Best choice I ever made was to leave AAA high-cost areas and contract for smaller studios remotely and live in some place that doesn't cost so much to live. You talked to the Monster Sanctuary dev. He was like, nope, I was marketing the game 1 to 2 years before I kickstarted and made early access. Yeah, so many people are like, we don't need to start marketing right now. Our game doesn't release for 6 months. You're almost too late.
Yeah. I have to see what Monster Sanctuary is now, because it looks interesting.
Monster Sanctuary.
Oh, I remember this game. I haven't played this yet. Monster Taming meets Metroidvania. Yeah, that's very cool. So, it's crunch is what crunch is, and it's not going to change until we all, stand up and say, okay, look, this is enough. Something has to be done. We're going to have to do something else. But the realistic side of me says it's not going to change, because there's always going to be somebody else standing at the door going, ooh, that dude quit because he had to, work 100 hours a week. It's like, I'll work 110 hours a week.
Yep.
That's the mentality that has to change
just because I want to get in the game and I want to work for Epic or whatever, Some people are, have their favorites of what studio was their dream studio. A lot of people are just willing to do whatever it takes to get in there, which I understand. I mean, I get it, but it's really just devaluing what you do.
You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah,
basically. So what else do we need to talk about today? What else is,
Not gonna lie, you think you would do something like that just to get my food, your foot in the door? No, I agree. I think so well.
A lot of people, you're not alone in that. That's part of the problem. And I did it too. When I was even on the business side, I didn't work 100-hour weeks, but I didn't have a problem working 60, 80-hour weeks because I was young. I didn't have a family, and I wanted to work in the game industry. And the problem is, as I look back, 20 years later, that just set up everything that ended up with me throwing up blood in the mornings. So it is an appealing industry to get into. It is a fun industry to get into. But if we don't respect ourselves, we can't turn around and expect, the people higher up the food chain.
No matter how passionate you are about whatever, nobody gets into game concept art or programming or any of that stuff because they're like, it seems like it might be a good job. Everyone gets into it because they're fucking passionate about it. I love programming, and then they do it. You know what I mean? I love making characters. I love animating. I've never met an animator that was like, yeah, it was just there and I was good at it, so I just figured. They all are like super passionate about their craft. Some of the problems you only see after doing it for 10 years, it's accumulation of stress. You're not talking about marriage. I think after 10 years, that's when it starts getting good.
Well, at that point, you've already talked to each other about everything you need to talk about each other.
Pretty much.
You both have a very good expectation of what's going to happen. And so, yeah, it does get a lot easier.
That's when you don't have to worry about all the stupid little shit anymore because, like you said, you pretty much open about almost everything,
So Sage brought up a good point, which could take us on an entire different, rant down this industry. He says, sure, a fresh face to the industry is going to work those extra hours, but I think studios often fail to realize how effective those hires are versus veterans. This industry has a ridiculous ageism issue. Now, that eventually played out into my favor because I realized after applying to these jobs and interviewing, with them 8 or 10 years ago, that my job was always going to get handed off to a 22-year-old that was fresh out of college, regardless of how much experience and everything that I had in the industry. And so I was like, well, if I consult, if you're a consultant, people value that age and that experience more than if you're just coming off the door, knowing that you're going to be more expensive and you're going to be less likely to work 120 hours a week than, somebody fresh off the boat. It is. I mean, that's exactly, what comes down, and why you see so many people my age and Indy's age bitching about the ageism in the industry, because it is very real. It's only going to get worse because we're just now starting to hit the point in the industry where those of us who started getting in when it was really, really, really ramping up are getting to the age that we're like, okay, I'm not
You shall not pass.
Yeah, I'm not doing what that guy does. That's not me.
And there's nothing wrong with being 22. I mean, getting in the industry at all. So, when we talk about ages, it almost sounds good about. But it's not. I mean, those people are fresh.
Well, no, we're not. Because Div's got to
start somewhere, right?
Div's got a good point. It's like, when you don't have that veteran experience, you have to do something, that the veterans can't do, and that ends up working more hours. You're not wrong. I mean, that's the reality. But all that we would ask, all that the old people here want you to know is that you don't have to work 100 hours a week. It's you have to respect yourself in there along those lines. So, but yeah, you do. I mean, you do need a good mix of ages,
I
and
think
it
that
also,
too.
it works in the other direction too, because I know folks my age and older who have gone to work for companies, and then they get bitter and resentful because their boss is 10, 15 years younger than them, and that's not going to help you either. So.
No, I've worked with companies where people are a lot younger than me.
So
a lot.
All right, I think I missed somebody's question in here. Oh, Lord of Sin. What about BioWare's shift to Dark Age 4 because Anthem's a train wreck? That's a what I call an Excel problem. That's because it's less because of the fur lately around Anthem, and more because somebody up the food chain at Epic and EA went, okay, let me plug all these numbers into Excel, and we realized that now, because it's a train wreck, it's not going to make as much money, so we don't need to put as many people on it. And so there you have a wonderful example of how all of this stuff turns around and ends up biting you in the ass because you worked this studio so hard that drove the senior people out, and it came out and you rushed it, and it didn't have content, and it wasn't fun, and it was missing features. Now you're in a situation where nobody wants to play it because of the money you tried to save at the beginning of the pipeline. There are plenty of examples of games that had really bad launches that turned around and did well. No Man's Sky, Fallout 76 has turned a corner. It's doing better. And also on the Bethesda side, Elder Scrolls Online, when that game launched, it was a just nightmare. Now they have a good following. These games can make it if they're given the attention. But, when you have something that has a rocky launch because of a bunch of poor decisions that you made earlier in the process, and then you look around and go, oh, well, it's not doing what we wanted to do, so let's just pull all the people off and put it on, another game that's we still haven't figured out exactly what we're going to do with. It's not going to help. And it's one of the reasons why I don't, you say what you will about the games that come out of EA, but when we talk to investors and hedge funds and all this stuff, they're like, what do you think about EA stock? It's like, I wouldn't buy it, because they have consistently, especially over the last 5 years, shown a track record of not understanding the industry. And as sad as that sounds, that's the problem. It's like, they clearly did not understand microtransactions when, they launched the second Star Wars game. They're making these decisions and enforcing these, practices that is not going to sustain them long term. So what else did we do? So what's next in here? Studio heads equate hours worked with work accomplished. It's the industrial age thinking. To an extent, yes. But at the same time, the studio heads, do that. The producers don't end up standing up for their team members and saying, look, I can't work these two programmers, anymore, because we're starting to see errors in code. Somebody, I don't know who, I can't remember who it was up there, said, yeah, these teams end up working 120 hours a week because they're fixing the bugs that they wrote because they were tired. And that's the reality of it. Mm-hmm. It's a systemic problem. On the other hand, we're just out of school and you have no years of experience outside of school projects, which many companies seem to want. That is outside of basic IT. In terms of where do you get a job, Night Wolf, or what's the question there that I may have missed?
Well, Michael says, a bit off topic, but I would just like to say that the Twitch overlay you have looks really nice. It's pretty cool how you have it set up so your heads pop out of the top.
That is thanks to Bradley over at Gaming Gauntlets. He did
actually, I'm the one that did it where our heads pop out the top. But
well, that's true. Yes.
But Bradley, Kincaid.
But the rest of it.
Yeah, Kincaid, he designed it. Kincaid, CEO, he designed it. He used to be Roleplay with Friends, but now I convinced him that he should switch his name.
Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't figure out who that was in our Discord server.
Yeah.
Then I had to like go to the profile. I was like, oh, it's Bradley.
Yeah, because like I feel like a lot of people should change their name because it niches them. Yeah, it does. It looks really cool, huh? He does amazing work. He did all my alerts for my Twitch stream too. They're all animated and explodey and goop and blood dripping and stuff like this. Okay. Corporate America to a T. You busy your ads and it puts in time to make yourself shine. No matter how old you are, the older you are, the tougher it can be to keep up. Corporate masters
She utterly failed at guarding the driveway from chipmunks, and now she wanted to come in.
Chipmunk failure. Wage slaves are not just in cyberpunk; they've been a way of life for decades, for sure. So, Nightwolf says, how to get a job with no years of experience. You have to have. Well, nowadays it's more like experience is awesome and schooling is awesome, but a degree doesn't matter. You have to have an amazing profile, amazing proof of your work, your portfolio.
You can get experience that doesn't necessarily come from being at another studio.
Yeah. So if you're a programmer, program something that is amazing and beautiful. If you're an artist, draw a bunch of art. You know what I mean? School can help you get a portfolio, but even so, there's people that don't go to school that have an amazing portfolio. They just know how to put together a portfolio.
That's one of the weird things about our industry. It's like, if you want to be a doctor, you have to go to a lot of school. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to go to a lot of school. In our industry, and this is what I tell teachers and professors when I come and talk to different classes about the industry, like, don't look at me and think I'm going to be the one that comes in and says, yeah, you need to go get a degree in game design to be a game designer, because you don't, and getting that piece of paper that says I'm a game designer means about as much as the paper that it's written on.
It would be more impressive to have your own game that you've completely finished.
Even if the game sucks, if you can at least say, I put it out there and it's on the App Store or it's on Steam, the sheer fact that you got to the point where you knew where to ship it and when to ship it and how to ship it,
and then that you finished it, because 95% of the people that are developers never finish a game. Nectar Wombat, please have professionals who do not love you curate your portfolio.
Yes, your mom's opinion does not count.
Yeah, for sure.
Your
that
friend's
is 100%.
Opinion does not count. That guy that Lloyd, who was on the show, who was my boss for years and years and years, to this day gives me shit, because when I was an evaluator while I was still in college, in an effort to please the bosses and get a job afterwards, I'll be like, yeah, there was just some kind of mahjong game. I can't remember what it was. But I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. I'd play this in my spare time. I mean, hell no, I wasn't going to. It was cool. But no, I wasn't going to play it in my spare time. That's where one of the beauties of the internet is. Yes, when people are anonymous on the internet, they can be complete and utter a-holes. But at the same time, you get a lot of really blunt feedback, and you have to have that. And said, because you're not going to get any better. You're not going to grow, or you're not going to improve if everybody tells you you're a great singer, or you're a great artist, or you're a great designer. It matters what people that you don't know are saying.
Need those assholes that like to write long books explain to you exactly why whatever it is that you do sucks. That's like the best feedback you can get. You know what I mean? Somebody that's an asshole, somebody that is blunt and straightforward and has no problem sharing their exact opinion.
I will give you a prime example. I saw this yesterday on. I got back into Subnautica, since I have not played Subnautica since it actually came out of early access, because I put so many hours into it while it was in early access. But now the next version is in early access, and so I've started playing it again. And I went over to their page for the new one, for the new game, and there was a review. And now, crap, I don't see it now.
Was it like super detailed and?
Oh my God, it was like
super freaking detailed.
Here it is. So I'm not going to paste this because it would absolutely destroy chat. But if you go, it's super long. So there's the page. If you go down, you'll see one of the reviews at the bottom that I don't know, Andy, can you pull it up on the screen, whatever? It's like the second review down, and it's, the guy's like, I don't recommend it, and he's got like 5 hours on record, but I swear I saw this just the other day, and he only had like more than half an hour. And he goes through and he gives a detailed critique. I mean, he's got subsections
there's the
in here
exact
like a
link
contract.
right there for the exact.
And it's one of those that, yes, there are issues with the review, and this is early access. You shouldn't be expecting full voiceovers and all these different things, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But even if you get a bad review, but somebody is willing to go into this much detail, it's like, oh my God, it's good feedback, because it's not one of those that's like, okay, this sucks. But as a developer, you need to be able to look at it, and you can see, you know more of the bigger picture when you're making the game, and some of his complaints that you can look and go, okay, yeah, well, we're going to fix that later on. That's fine.
The funniest part is the comment at the top. I'm probably still going to get it.
Yes, it is. I mean, that's. But
That's
this is a
shit,
fan
man.
who is extremely engaged with this game, and so it's a good thing. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I had something ping. But that's the type of stuff that random people on the internet will give you, and you have to be able to take it all with a grain of salt and have a little bit of thick skin while you're reading this stuff. But that's the kind of feedback you have to be ready to get. Oh wait, Div, you poked Corey and Andrew on with one of your reviews?
That's funny.
I still play that game like almost nightly. There's so absolute much depth in that game for $15, and then they put it on sale. All right, I'm out of beer.
So
and
is
that? I know Andy's got a meeting, and I'm out of beer, so I'm like, all right.
Is that your game? You know what game I've been playing lately? And it's closed beta access, and I can't. It's called Neon Abyss. I saw it at PAX, and I freaking love that game. Good. From Vivo. So
you were talking about that one after you came from PAX.
Yeah. And I've still been playing it almost daily. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a break, and then I just do a run. I'm in the beta, so what I've been doing is recording my gameplay, and then whenever a bug comes up, I will just edit it and send it to him. A little bit of effort, but you know what? It's such a fucking good game.
Being such a good fan.
I know. Is that because I've honestly, I've done that a long time ago, but I've never done that for any other game, really. That I just was like wanted to do it, It's such a good game. Oh, it's most of my feedback ends up being, oh yeah, that didn't work. I don't know why I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I know it didn't work. And the bugs, it's closed beta, but the bugs are like, there's these things where you get these eggs and then they hatch into creatures that follow you. And I had one egg hatch into a rock, but then everything's supposed to progress into different levels, right? Every egg. The 2.519 update launched today. Nice. So I'll be playing that then. But what happened is it turned into a little monkey instead of whatever, and so that was one bug. And then I found something else. Oh, there was something where you go and you buy things, and when you get another gun and pick it up, you drop the one that you have, but where it dropped exactly right in front of the store, so I could never go back and pick it up because the pop-up for the store was always there. No big deal. But it was a little bug. But yeah, I love that game. It's freaking awesome. It's a good 15 minutes. You can pause it and just continue on. It doesn't so many games nowadays, it's like you start up the game and some of them, like my computer would just freeze up. There's been a couple newer games that have done that. You believe the dev is based so many great games from the East. Yeah. And but this game just like bam, it fires right up. if I escape and alt tab, the game just goes quietly away and it sits there until I bring it back up. And I like that because that way I can, you know, answer things and I could like play it for 10 minutes and then pause it in the middle and then continue working.
When are they planning to launch?
Within months. There's not like a set date as yet. But I'm like, it's like, that's right now. That's like my favorite game.
You can get the demo if you join their Discord.
Yeah, but you have to sign an NDA and all that stuff.
Oh, I'll sign one of those daily.
Yeah, you can sign the NDA and you can get the beta. And they like, we expect you to do this and da 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 da.
So what else have we touched on that we need to wrap up today? We can come in with very little planning, and it's like, yeah, an hour and a half to run our mouth.
Excuse me. Yeah, we can just hang out and talk, which is good. I mean, it's good to do that, and I'm glad that you have come in, and we get so many questions from you and from you all, and hanging out with us while you're working. And I hope that you guys listening to us. Weren't you gonna get this set up to do podcasts?
Yeah, yes, eventually, maybe, possibly. When if I can get everything else that's on my plate cleared out. I mean, there you go. If any of you out there have, experience turning something like this into a podcast and, distributing it and finding all the right partners to go through to get it on the right channels, for God's sakes, reach out to me, because I keep looking at it and then I just my eyes gloss over and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna happen soon. Did you hear that?
And that's the noise saying that it's time to go.
Yes. It's like the music playing at the Oscars. It's like we are obviously bothering her, and so we need to go.
That's funny.
Yes, we are going to get a podcast. It's just one of those things. It's on my list of things to do. Don't forget, if you're not in our Discord, you can find us online. You can join up. There's the information. And if you are interested, we're doing another one of our
Meet to Matches
events, because the first one went very, very, very well.
I met some great people and had some great meetings for sure.
Go there. It's the new website. I'm still trying to get.
How many attendees were there? There was 100 and something signed up.
It was over 100 companies, but some companies had more than one attendee. Mm-hmm. So I like the way I did.
Oh God, it was so worth it. I mean, if you're looking for, and admittedly, most of the people were developers looking for publishing and money, which is fine, because there were actually publishers on there that were wanting to give money.
Yep.
But
I mean, one of the publishers, if you go to that new site, you see Jesse's comments down there at the bottom, and he's like, "I wish this had been around years ago." He said, this is so much more effective than going out and flying and meeting. And Erica from Phantom Compass brought up a great point that I hadn't even thought about. She's like, you actually get a half hour to talk to somebody, because you're not at a conference and you aren't like trying to rush to get to the next meeting and figure out where you have to go. You can just basically sit there and have a real adult conversation for half an hour.
Yeah, and you can bullshit too, which I did.
Yeah.
We sat around, talk to people, talk about business. Okay, well, we got some time, and then we got to just hang out and get to know each other. So it's kind of, it was, meeting in person is always awesome. Shaking someone's hand, or fist bumping, as I like to do, because I'm not a big handshaker at conferences, is always awesome. But you don't really have time to like bullshit with people. So
there you go. There's a link that actually works. So,
and by bullshitting, I mean just like talking about whatever. I don't mean like bullshitting them, like lying to them.
That's called sales.
That's called sales. I guess fist bump equals less conflict. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Fist bump an emergency.
They look, it's a business convention that you can go to, and you're not going to get sick afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
And
right.
the meet to match system, it was a little wonky, but once I figured out how the date and time zones actually worked.
So here's what we found. All right, so one, the minute you sign up and you get into the meet to match system, it says, what's your time zone? And so all of the meetings are going to be set in your time zone. The confusion that hit a lot of people that I didn't even think about was, we were sitting there going, okay, the show is Monday and Tuesday, and then we're getting emails like, well, I have meetings on Sunday. I'm like, why do you? And I'm like, oh, the show is Monday and Tuesday if you're in the Eastern North America time zone. Because what happens is we open up the show at midnight on Sunday night, and it goes till midnight Tuesday night. But given where you are in the world, that kind of shifts. And so some people are going to see, meetings popping up on Tuesday. Some of them are going to see them popping up on Sunday. That caused a good bit of confusion that we didn't think about.
Right.
But, we're clarifying.
And one thing I think that they could have done better, it's like, because you're like, when you look for your time zone, there's all Pacifics. Phoenix Pacific did it. There's like 20 million lists for Pacific. Just put Pacific time zone.
Oh,
and then just...
you know what? Yes, you were right. And we did a survey at the end, and nobody brought that up. But I'm going to write that down.
They just they don't need a budget. I personally feel like we should just go the way, because everyone communicates online now and it's instant. There should just be one freaking time zone, just one time, period. It should just be a world time, and who cares if right now it was, 3 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night or whatever. It should just be one time zone over the entire world. Then we don't have to worry about time zones. And world time. Yeah, I would vote for world time too. WT. So that way it's always the same time, everywhere. So I guess if, time zones were only made for farmers anyways. So that you would know that, you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you go to bed at 8 at night or whatever. World time is Greenwich time? I don't know. GMT?
Nah, it is, because, the British had to conquer everything and, make an empire that ruled the
Damn
world.
you, British!
So now they get to pick what time we all go to bed.
All right, I got to get out of here. I got my meeting. Thank you, guys. We'll be back Wednesday.
Thank you, everybody.
Right? We're going to come back Wednesday.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, maybe. All right, we've just been kind of like, we don't really know until the day when we're going live. So what that means is you guys are going to have to keep an eye out on the Discord. We
don't have a guest yet for Wednesday.
I wanted to invite Michael from If Then Software to come on, because he talked about he just got his first game up on Steam. So maybe if Michael, you want to come on next Wednesday, that would be kind of cool.
Do you want us to grill you on what that first launch was like?
Yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Good.
Get in
the
Discord.
We have a guest for Wednesday.
Get in the Discord, message.
What y'all don't know is that's how a lot of our bookings happen.
Hey, you want to come on? Sure. Or listen to Queen before bedtime.
On Friday?
Yeah, get in the Discord, dude, or hit me on Discord, hit Jay on Discord, and then Jay will get you the email that says what you need to know. Is that your third?
No, it's still just the first one.
Why didn't you go fill up for the second?
Because
it's only 10. It's 10 o'clock in the morning for me.
It's 1:30 in the afternoon for me.
I guess that's good. It's Friday.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, if you've had an experience with podcasts, message me.
Yeah.
God knows I need it. All right.
Oh, this is something I got from when I got my taillight for my motorcycle. $50 bill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Damn time zones. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. You're in Phoenix too? I'm in Phoenix, Oregon. I'm not in Phoenix, Arizona. If you were in Phoenix, Oregon, that would be awesome. Phoenix, Oregon, population 6,000. Number of marijuana dispensaries, 7.
5,000.
How many Phoenicians? Phoenix. Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Y'all take care.
Bye.